Alright. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So today, like I told you, I wanted us to discuss ممنوع من الصرف. This is partly flexible words. So, but before we begin with the partly flexible, I just wanted us to go back to where we started, where we started from in Baina, and then we can proceed to what I want to tell you because I really hope and I pray that Allah gives me the words to be able to explain this because it's a slightly difficult topic, and I think that's why Ustad made it very simple for us. So when we were discussing partly flexible in the Baina program, they just gave us three categories of of names or of things of words that are partly flexible. And I'm glad to Ustad and the team for doing this because if he had gone into details, then perhaps some of us would have given up on Arabic because it's not an easy topic. But Alhamdulillah, they simplified it for us. And now I think we are a bit older. We are teenagers in the Arabic language. We can be able to understand a little bit more. So I wanted to go a little bit more in details as far as this is concerned. So the first category that we learned about was non-Arab names. And we talked about Yusuf, Ismail, some of these names we mentioned. So that's one of the categories mentioned in the book. The other category mentioned in the book of Mamnu' min as-Sarf is feminine names and uniquely masculine names. Like, for example, Aisha, Khadija, Zainab, Iman, and they didn't really specify why or the reasons why these names are mamnu' min as-sarf. Inshallah, today we'll talk about why some of these names or what reasons do they have that they're mamnu' min as-sarf. And then, of course, uniquely masculine names, like for example, we have Hamza, we have Muawiyah, we have some of these names here, Umar. They didn't give us why, Uthman. So they just gave us some names but they didn't tell us why. And as we will see today, the reason why Hamza is mamnu' min as-sarf is not the same reason as Uthman is mamnu' min as-sarf, for example. Or the reason why Umar is mamnu' min as-sarf is not the same reason as Uthman or Muawiyah or one of this. So we'll go into details and see why. And I hope by the end of this session, inshallah, you would be able to actually understand better why some reasons are mamnu', why some words are mamnu' min as-sarf, and why some words are not, even though they look the same, inshallah. And then, of course, the last category that they gave us in Bayina is proper names of places. So Makkah to Yathrib, Jahannam. But then again, today we will learn that the reason why Makkah is mamnu' min as-sarf is not the same reason as Yathrib, and it is not the same reason as Jahannam. So they just gave us these names to ease our lives, and alhamdulillah for that. But now that we understand Arabic a little bit, maybe we can understand why, so that we can expand our thinking, inshallah. So maybe just a point, to mention here. Some names of places have like al-Iraq, and therefore they become fully flexible. And when we have al on a word, I think we mentioned this last time, when we have al on a word, it doesn't take tanween. Al does not like tanween. This is a rule that we know. Al plus tanween it never happens. So that's why it will always just be al-Iraqa, al-Iraqi, but it will take all the harakat. So that's just basically a summary of what we studied in Mamnu' min as-Sarf from the Bayina program. So that's what we did here. So the three categories, let me just type this, that we learned in Bayina were non-Arab names. Then we also learned the other category was specific feminine and masculine names. Guys, give me a second. Somebody's at the door. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So specific feminine and masculine names like Aisha, Hamza, Muawiyah, stuff like that. And then the last category, specific names of places. So this is what we did. This is the much we covered in the Bayina program. Now, before I even enter into the details of Mamnu' min as-Sarf, this thing is bothering me, so. Okay. So before we go into the details of ممنوع من الصرف, I just want us to understand a couple of things. Okay, the إعراب حركات and حروف. Last time, remember I said, you know, نحو or rather the إعراب has to do with the ending sound or ending combination. We said something like that. So for example, if we have مسلم, okay, so we just focus on this harakat at the end. It's either going to be a harakat or it's going to be, for example, if I say muslimuna, it's going to be a combination. So when it comes to i'rab, what we focus mostly on is this sounds, the last sounds that you hear. So you have some of them are harakat, some of them are huruf. What we deal with, for example, will be the dhamma. We also deal with the fatha. What do you guys think? What else? Before I tell you. So fatha.
Kasra.
Kasra, obviously. So these are some of the harakat that we deal with. And of course, the tanween as well. If it is tanween, if it's not. But these are the basic harakat that we deal with. Also, we deal with certain words, like certain huruf, letters, like alif, like wow. How do I spell wow? Wow, like that. So we just spell it like that. So we have alif, we have wow, we have ya. What other harakat do we huruf do we have? Yeah, then we have something called subut noon or harf noon. Okay, so now let me explain. I don't know if you've read some tafsir books and then when they're doing the i'rab, they will say, for example, this word is مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نسبه. If you've ever heard of something like that, وعلامة نسبه الفتحة وعلامة نسبه الألف وعلامة نسبه الياء. I don't know if you guys have ever come across such terminology. You can maybe give me a hands up or a thumbs up, or you can mute yourself and tell me if you've ever had something like this. علامة.
Yes.
Yes. Who hasn't
Like
had? No, you haven't. Okay, so when we do i'rab, we normally have to say what makes it fatha. Like if I say something is mansub, like last time we said there's marfu', mansub, and majrur. So if I say something is marfu', it is in rafa' status. What makes it rafa' status? There has to be a sign, right? So the dhamma is what makes it rafa'. Or for example, in this case, muslimun, it's the wow that makes it rafa'. Okay? So if there's an alif, so if there's muslimani, for example, for dual, muslimani, it's rafa'. What makes it rafa'? The alif is what makes it rafa'. So the Arabs, the way they do the i'rab, they will say, okay, this thing is mansub, but the sign that shows it's mansub, it's fatha, or it could be an alif, or it could be a ya, or it could be the fact that noon has been omitted. Like sometimes, you know, when we're dealing with light mudara', we normally get rid of the noon. Like for example, if I say lan yadhhaba with a fatha on it. No, sorry, this won't work. If I say lan yadhhabu, lan yadhhabu, okay? It's supposed to be yadhabuna, right? There was a noon here. But then lan came in, made it light, then we got rid of the noon. So the Arabs would say, this word is marfu' because the noon was removed. That's how I know. Or sorry, it's mansub because the noon was removed. That's how we know that's the sign of it being mansub. Or that would be the sign of marfu'. Or that would be the sign of majrur. I don't know if that part is clear. Yeah. Is there anybody with a question? Maybe there's something that's not clear, because this is very important to understand this part. If you understand this part, then whatever comes next is going to be easy. Okay. All right. You have a question on the chat? Oh, clear. Okay, fantastic. So yeah, so those are some of the حركات. So either علامة رفعه, علامة نسبه, علامة جره is either فتحة, كسرة, ضمة, ألف, واو, يا, or some of these things. These are the things we deal with when it comes to حركات. Now we come to this part where we talk about now معرب, مبني, and ممنوع من الصرف. معرب basically means it takes all the حركات. All these حركات فتحتين, كسرتين, ضمتين, all these حركات it takes. That's what معرب basically means. It takes all the حركات. It doesn't choose. Then you have مبني. مبني, we know مبني. It doesn't change. The ending does not change. If it's a فتحة, it's going to be a فتحة. If it's a كسرة, it's going to be a كسرة. If it's something else, some of it is مبني على السكون, it's going to remain sukun, whether it's nasab, whether it's rafa, whether it's jazm. It doesn't really matter. So it's mabni will just stay the same, regardless of which status it is in. Okay. Then now what we want to talk about is mamnu' min as-sarf. What happens with mamnu' min as-sarf? Remind me. When it's rafa, what haraka does it take?
Rafa.
Rafa. Wait, no, sorry, dhamma.
Dhamma. Sorry.
Yes, dhamma. So that's the haraka it takes when it's rafa. When it's nasab, what haraka does it take?
Fatha.
Fatha. And when it's jar, what haraka does it take?
Kasra. No, that time also Fatha.
Yes.
Yeah, Fatha.
Fatha.
Yes.
So we have both fathas at the end. So the mamnu' min as-sarf, when it comes to nasab or jar, they both take a fatha. So this is the whole difference. Do you see where the difference is between mu'arab and mamnu' min as-sarf? Just this part where the fatha in the jar status is a fatha and not a kasra. That's where the big difference is. So once you understand this, then other words you can see why they're not called mamnu' min as-sarf, like we will see. Okay. Now we go into the categories of mamnu' min as-sarf. I know there's a lot of Arabic here, but don't worry about it. I will explain everything.
Ilham?
Yes.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah, the title is Mamnu Min as-Sarf,
Yes.
but all these endings are related to Arab.
Yes.
So why it's mentioned sarf here?
Okay. So sarf is an Arabic word that means turning, changing. That's sarf.
Okay.
Morphology, morphing, changing. That's what sarf means. So here
Okay.
we're just looking at the endings, the way they are changing, the endings. How are they changing? Is it a fatha? Is it a kasra? Is it a dhamma? Is it? So when we say, actually the other word of mu'arab is munsarif. That's the other word, which means it accepts all changes. Munsarif, right? From the same word sarf.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just the meaning of it, not that we're discussing sarf. No.
Yeah, that's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah. So don't think about sarf for a minute. We're still in Nahu. We're just using this word. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do have I do have a question. In the mabni, do we take all the harakats that doesn't have tanween, like just one dhamma, kasra, or fatha, or just a sukoon?
No, mabni, actually there are different ways in which the Arabs, they will do the i'rab. So for example, there's mabni in ism. You can have mabni. Let me just write mabni here. So mabni can happen in ism. It can happen in fi'l. And it can happen in harf. Okay? So that's the first thing you need to understand. You can have isms that are mabni. For example, Mustafa. Mustafa is going to be Mustafa, Mustafa, Mustafa. You will never have Mustafa you, Mustafa ya, Mustafa ye. Nothing like that. That's an ism.
Non-flexible.
Non-flexible, exactly. That's what mabni means. Non-flexible.
Okay.
Yeah. So mu'arab is flexible. Mabni, non-flexible. Mamnu' min as-sarf, partly flexible. Yeah, that's the terminology we are familiar with.
Right. And I do have one more question. What is hadfun noon?
Hadfun noon is when you have the noon omitted. So for example, like I gave the example here, lan yadhabu. So lan we know it's light harf, right? So when it comes to the mudari, what happens to the noon?
Noon goes away.
Noon goes away. So has means is hidden. Harf,
Oh.
like sometimes when you're reading tafsir books and then you see the khabar is mahzoof. Mahzoof means it is hidden. Or sometimes in class also maybe Ustad might have mentioned khabar mahzoof, or the mubtada is mahzoof, or something is mahzoof. So has is also from the same word. This is where sarf comes in. So it just means that the noon at the end has been hidden, been omitted. And thubut means it's present. So when the noon is present, we say thubut and noon. When the noon is absent, we say hazf and noon. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I was just explaining mabni. So mabni, of course, the harakat it's non-flexible. So the harakat will remain the same. And you have like isms. I mentioned an example. There are so many others. You can have dunya, whatever, all these isms that are either I don't want to, let me not complicate things. Okay, so you know what non-flexible is. So fi'l, you can have also non-flexible fi'l, like ضرب, ماضي. Anything in the madi form is non-flexible. It's always going to be ضرب, أكل, فتح. You will never have فتحوا. You never have ضربوا. You will never have أكلوا. It will never be like that. It's always going, whatever haraka it ends with, that's always going to be it. If it's a fatha, it's always going to be a fatha. If it's something else, if it's a dhamma, it's going to be a dhamma, like that. So that's fi'l. Then harf, of course, we know harf. Ila, hatta, mata, all these harfs, they're always going to be like that. You'll never have ila, ilu, none of that. Okay, so that's basically mabni. Okay. Now let's look at now mamnu' min as-sarf. Okay. So mamnu' min as-sarf can happen for two reasons. So there are two categories, sorry. So there's category number one, where it happens for one reason only. And then there's category number two, where it happens for two reasons. So we'll start with the one that happens for one reason only. Okay? This is just how the Arabs categorized mamnu' min as-sarf. Partly flexible. For those who might not register mamnu' min as-sarf. So partly flexible, there are two categories. One reason or two reasons. Now for the first part, the things that are mamnu' min as-sarf for one reason, we have this thing called alif al-ta'nith al-maqsura. Now this is going to be slightly complicated because we were told something else in Bayina and I'm about to tell you something totally different and you will question me and wonder if, you know, this is true or not, because I'm about to tell you something and then you're going to ask me. But Ustaz said that is mabni, you know. But anyway, we'll explain this inshallah and hopefully you can understand. So when something has alif at-ta'nith al-maqsura, what this means is just this alif maqsura that we know, this ending, alif maqsura, but it has to be feminine. When this alif maqsura is feminine, then it's partly flexible. Then it's mamnu' min as-sarf. But any alif maqsura does not make something mamnu' min as-sarf. So what we are learning is there are two things. There's just alif maqsura, the normal alif maqsura, and then there's alif maqsura that is feminine. Okay? So the alif maqsura that is feminine, that's the one that makes words partly flexible. Let me give you an example. So you have this word, fata. Fata is fully flexible. And it ends with alif maqsura. Okay? What kind of then alif maqsura is this? We have to ask ourselves. Yeah? So, because this is not, fata means a boy. Okay, so fata means a boy. So we know from the meaning that this is not feminine. It cannot be feminine because fata means a boy. Okay, so this alif maqsura then is not a feminine alif maqsura. And that's why fata is fully flexible. It's not partly flexible. Now you take a word like Selma. We know Selma is specific for women. You'll never meet a man called Selma, right? So Salma is for women. So we know that this alif التأنيث المقصورة then becomes, it's basically التأنيث is for femininity. Okay. Layla, same thing. Layla, Laylatun, Layla is feminine. Dunya, same thing. Dunya is feminine. So all these alifs that we are seeing here, they're not just alif maqsura. They are alif maqsura for women, for feminine things in the Arabic language. Same thing as dhikra. So that's the only difference. That's why I'm saying that this, we may see this and we say, okay, this is mabni, because it doesn't change. In the rafa status is going to be Salma. In the nasab status is going to be Salma. In the jar status is going to be Salma. Why am I saying it's mamnu' min as-sarf? Why don't we just say it's mabni, because the ending doesn't change, and end the story? Now we go back to this part. Remember this part where we say that mamnu' min as-sarf, it becomes rafa with a dhamma, it becomes nasab with a fatha, or it becomes jar with a kasra. Okay. So if I say something is mamnu' min as-sarf, if it comes with a harf jar, for example, li, if I add li Salma, if I add a lam here, harf jar, li Salma, how will I do the i'rab of this? I will say li Salma. Salma is majroor wa alamat jarrihi, and the sign that shows it is jar is a fatha, not a kasra, is a fatha. I'm going to say that. And that's why I told you these letters, this is the only difference that makes something mabni or something marfu', something mamnu' min as-sarf. But for example, if I say li fata, we said fata is not, this here, alif maksura is not feminine. So we know this is not mamnu' min as-sarf. So if I say li fata, then I will say this fata, the sign that shows it is jar will be kasra. I won't say fatha. So that's the only difference. So when it comes to this alif maksura that is not mu'annas, that is not ta'nith, I will say kasra. But when it comes to this that is ta'nith, I will say fatha. I don't know if that is a bit clear, because I know this is a slightly difficult topic to understand, especially this part.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said oneness right now, which made more sense to me, but then you corrected yourself and said thani. What is the difference?
It's the same thing.
Oh, it is the same thing.
It's
right,
both
great.
feminine.
That makes sense.
It's both feminine. Yeah, it's just that now sarf comes in and you have different members of the family. Okay, but it's all from the same root letters.
Ilham says,
yes.
So won't you not say, like, when you do the Arab of Salma example, so it's not said like mabniyun alal fataha, something like that? No.
No, you will say this is not you will say actually it is, if it's a maf'ul bihi, you will say fi mahalli nasab wa alamat nasbihi al-fatha. Or if we are using, if it's majroor, then we will say it is majroor, not mabni, majroor wa alamat jarrihi al-fatha. Instead of al-kasra, we will say fatha.
Ilham, can you write this, please? What you've just said. Wala.
Okay.
And I didn't understand it.
Okay, so let me just type it here. So when it is mamnu' min as-sarf, then the majroor version or majroor ism, basically if we have lam plus salma, so lam plus salma, so lam is the harf of jar, salma is the ism majroor, right? So that's what I'm referring to, then the majroor ism. So this majroor ism will be في محل رفع في محل جر sorry علامة جره الفتحة. So this is where normally we would say علامة جره الكسرة, but then because it is ممنوع من الصرف, the jar version has a fatha. Remember a. So like masajidu, masajida, masajida. So even the jar version takes a fatha. So when we're doing the i'rab, we'll also mention that it takes a fatha. The sign that shows it's mamnu' min as-sarf is a fatha on the jar version. But if it wasn't mamnu' min as-sarf, for example, when it is mabni, then the majroor ism will be majroor wa علامة جره الكسرة. They like to say المقدرة, which means implied. It's not really seen. So they will say المقدرة. مقدرة. Something like that. So this is the whole difference. One part is fatha, the other part is kasra. I don't know if that's clear. I know it's different from
clear.
the way we
Thank
learn.
you.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
One more question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Salma, when it is mamnu min as-sarf, then it can have dhamma, right? When it is marfu'.
We will say علامة رفعه الضمة. We'll say also علامة نصبه الفتحة. So the only difference is it comes to here, because the other one also will take a dhamma. The mabni will also take a dhamma. It will also take a fatha. But only the
So it
mamnu'.
will,
Yes.
so it will always be Salma, but when we write it, we will say al-alamati jarrihi al-fatha
Yes. Exactly.
or al-dhamma.
Yes. It's
Okay.
only when we're explaining the i'rab, but it will always be like this. It will always be Salma, Salma, Salma. It's only when we are explaining, like, okay, the i'rab, this is a maf'ul bihi, and the sign that shows that it's mansoob is this, all that stuff. When we're writing it and explaining it, that's when we mention fatha, kasra, dhamma, and stuff like that.
Okay.
All right.
Understood.
All right. So just a reminder, it has to be a feminine alif maqsura. That's the most important thing. Okay. So you have other words like Mustafa. Mustafa, the ending is alif maqsura because let me just write here. Mustafa. That's a wrong. Mustafa. Okay. So Mustafa, the ending is an alif maqsura, but this is not feminine. So this will not be, it will not have fatha if it was on jar status, basically. Okay, so that's the number one, and I think the one that takes a lot of thinking and a lot of understanding. So the other category that takes only one reason, if you have only one reason, then it becomes mamnu' min as-sarf, is alif al-ta'nith al-mamduda. But now that we have understood this part, then this part is going to be easy. So what they're talking about is this alif hamza. Remember in Bayna we learned that these endings make a word feminine. That's just what we were told. But it's not all words that have this are feminine. So again, that's why we are seeing this word here. So you have some words that end like this, but they're not feminine. So this alif al-mamduda is what is called, this alif hamza is called alif mamduda. So this alif mamduda has only to be for feminine. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you see this word, shu'ara. Let me clean that up a bit so that you can understand. So this word, shu'ara, bayda, asdiqa, shuhada, you can all hear that they're following the same pattern. Fu'ala, fu'ala, fu'ala. They're following the same pattern. But the most important thing we need to understand here is that there has to be three harfs. There has to be three harfs before the alif mamduda. So you have sheen, ain, ra. Then the alif mamduda is the fourth one. Or it could be more. You could have even more. But minimum 3. Then if that's the case, then it will be mamnu' min as-sarf. If that's not the case, then it will be fully flexible. Like in the examples I gave down here in red. Hawa in. It's fully flexible. Why? Because if you're to count the letters, you only have ha, wow, then the alif mamduda. So there's only 2. Then it becomes fully flexible. Same thing with sama, in. There's only 2 letters, 1, 2. Then the alif mamduda. So it becomes fully flexible. Dua, in. Same thing, 1, dal, ain. Then the alif mamduda. So fully flexible. So you have to have at least 3 letters before the, or more. 3 or more letters before the alif mamduda. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, if anybody is feeling left out or a bit confused, please don't let us move forward without clearing the confusion. All right. So that's the second reason, the second category for one reason only. So the first reason is ya, alif al, sorry, not ya, alif al maqsura. The second one is alif mamduda. Both of them for feminine. Then the third one is we have this pattern that we are very familiar with, mafa'il, mafa'il, and then we have fawa'il. These 3 patterns, okay? Like I mentioned before, masajid, mashariq, qaba'il. Then we have masabih, qawarif. So this is fawa'il. See that pattern? Tamathil, fawa'il. That kind of pattern, okay? And then we have sawa'id, qawa'id, follows this pattern. So when you have broken plurals that follow this pattern, then they become partly flexible. I think that's very clear. We are familiar with this one. So just you need just to memorize mafa'il, mafa'il, and fawa'il, or fawa'il, basically. Those 3. Okay? Any questions on that? Great. So then we go to the second category. This category is mamnu' min as-sarf because it has 2 reasons. Not just 1 reason like before, it has 2 reasons. And then it's also categorized into 2. So we have part A, which I'm calling it alam, and then part B, wasfiyya. So there are 2 of those. Oops. I decided to follow. Okay, so those are the 2 parts. Al-alam is what we learned in Bayina as specific names of places and people. You know, in the, let me just show you. In Bayina here, in the book, we said one of the categories is proper names of places, and then feminine names and uniquely masculine names. This is basically what alam means, proper names. Like, for example, Medina is not a proper name. Medina is, what it means is a city. But if I say Mecca, that's the proper name of a particular place, okay? If I say Ilham, my name, Ilham is a proper name, okay? But also that has, well, let me use a different name. Aisha is easier. Aisha is a proper name of a person, right? Ahmed is a bit tricky. Which other name can I use? Let's use the examples here. Hud is a name of a specific person. So these are some of the alam that we talk about. Where do I want to go? Here. Okay. So yeah. So that's what alam means. I think that's clear. So when you have something that is proper, a specific name, a proper name, plus femininity. So 2 things are coming together. It's a proper name and it's also feminine. Like, for example, Aisha. Aisha is a specific name of a woman. And it's ta'anith. How do we know that it's ta'anith? Ta marbuta is one of the signs of femininity. So 2 things have come together. And because of these 2 things coming together, it has become mamnu' min as-sarf. Same thing with Makkah. Makkah is known as a specific name of a place. And then it has a ta marbuta, which is also a sign of femininity. So 2 reasons made it mamnu' min as-sarf. Jahannam. Jahannam is a specific name of a place, right? The specific name. You can't say Jahannam and mean something else. When you say Jahannam, everybody understands this is hellfire. But why is it feminine? Somebody remind me. Or tell us.
Because the Arabs
Arab
said
said
so.
so.
Yes, because the Arab said so. So you see now those 2 reasons have come here. It's a specific name of a place and it's feminine because the Arab said so. Then you have names of masculine names, like Muawiyah. It's a specific name of a person, but it has a sign of femininity. It has a ta marbuta. So there's a sign of femininity that has come in, and it's also a specific name of a person, of a man. So such names also, they are mamnu' min as-sarf. Hamza is another example. Talha is another example. We just covered this in the reader. That's why we said Aba Talhata, Abi Talhata, Abu Talhata. Every time Talhata. Yeah? Because it's majroor, but it has a fatha. So you see how the mamnu' min as-sarf comes in? Yeah. Then you have Zainab. Zainab is also a specific name of a person, but it's mu'annath, it's feminine. Yeah. Then you have names like Su'ad. All these names, Amal. These are names of specific names of people. And because they're specific names, then we treat them as, and they're used to name women, then we treat them as mamnu' min as-sarf, partly flexible. Is that part clear? I think this is simple enough to understand. Okay, good. But
So,
yes.
I just want to summarize all women names, and these are all proper names of which are feminine, and those that have the feminine indications like the ta marbuta and the Arab said so, correct?
Yes. So anything that makes something feminine, anything, whether it's because the Arab said so, or whether because it has a ta marbuta or alif maksura or alif mamduda, these are the signs that make something feminine. So whatever makes something feminine, if a name is a proper name and has one of these signs, then it's going to be mamnu' min as-sarf. Okay. So any sign of femininity in it will make, and as long as it's a proper name, those are two reasons now why it's mamnu' min as-sarf. Any other questions? Okay. Then we have exceptions here. So we have Hindun. Hind is a proper name of a person, a woman. We know this. Even we had Abu Sufyan's wife was called Hind. Okay. And also Hind is a proper name of a place. India is called Al-Hind, although it has an Al. But yeah, so this is an exception. Why is it an exception? Somebody remind me. This is easy to tell, I think.
3 letters with the sukun.
So see, these are 3 letters with a sukun in the middle. Let me just change the color. So you can see the sukun in the middle here. Right? Hindun, Misrun, Shamsun, Adnun. Okay? So there's that sukun in the middle that's making it fully flexible. So whenever you have a word, these are the exceptions. Whenever you have a proper name of a place or a person that is just 3 letters, whether it's non-Arab name, whether it's Arab name, whether it's a name of a place, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's 3 letters and there's a sukun in the middle. As long as there's a sukun in the middle, this is going to be an exception. It's going to be fully flexible. So that's one. Number 2, al-alamiyah wal-ujma. This is where you have now what we call non-Arab names. This is now the category that we have here. So ujma, ajami means non-Arab, like that's what it means. So we have something that is a proper name, but it's also non-Arab. It's going to be partly flexible. For example, Ibrahim, George, Isa, Harun, whatever is not Arab and it's a proper name, is going to be partly flexible. And in this particular category, we also have the names of angels and jinn. Okay, so for example, Jibrila, Jibrilu, Jibrila, Jibrila, Iblisu, Iblisa, Iblisa. Okay, so that falls in there. Of course, again, this is the exception, 3-letter words with a sukun in the middle, and there are only these 3 in the Quran, basically. I think that's something we are familiar with. I want to move a little bit faster because
Ilham,
yes.
I have a question. I think you even posted in the group regarding Badr, right? Does it
Yes.
also come in the Badr?
It's an exception. So Badr, you tell me. Badr, what kind of a
But I think in the Quran there is an ayah which says be badrin, right? It's
Exactly.
fully flexible.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
even if we just look at the Quran, we will know that this is fully flexible. So the word is badr. Okay, badr or badru, badra, badri, depending on what comes before it. So as you can see, this is a specific name of a specific place. It's not just a general name. It's a specific name, and there's a sukun in the middle. So obviously falls in the exception. So now we've seen why it's fully flexible. Okay. Then you have another category here. Specific names or proper names with alif and noon. See, I tried to color code this so that you can all see. So you see the green part, Uthmanu, Nu'manu, Ramadanu, Salmanu, all these names that have that kind of pattern with an alif and noon at the end. And as long as they're specific names of people or places or things, like Ramadan is a specific name of a month. Sha'ban is a specific name of a month. And it has that alif and noon. So all this will be partly flexible. And of course, we looked at the example in class. We had the word ghilman. Okay. So we have to ask ourselves, ghilman, does it qualify? Is it a specific name of a person or a place? What you tell me. Is it a proper name? What do you guys think? Ghilman means boys. Is it a specific name or a general name?
General.
Yeah, it's a general name.
Yeah.
So it's disqualified immediately. So ghilmanu will be fully flexible. So it just doesn't mean that every time you see an alif noon, partly flexible. No, you have to ask yourself, is it a proper name? Is it, does it have alif and noon? So once you've realized that, then you can say, oh yeah, this is fully flexible, and this other one is partly flexible because of these two reasons. Yeah, I hope that's clear. So here there's an exception. Okay, here there's an exception. Remember we here when we here at the top, we mentioned that it has to be 3 letters before the alif mamduda when we were talking about alif mamduda here. Same thing applies to this category also. If you have, it has to be 3 letters or more, then the alif mamduda. But if it's just 2 letters like sunan, then it's not going to be mamnu' min as-sarf. It's going to be fully flexible. Lisanin, bilisanin arabiyyin mubin. Yeah, so that's why lisan is fully flexible. It has an alif and noon, but it's fully flexible because it's just two letters before the alif and noon. So it has to be 3 letters before the alif and noon or more. Okay. Then we have another category of, these are all proper name plus something. Proper name plus something. You can all see al-alamiyya ma'a, al-alamiyya ma'a. So proper name plus something else. Those are the 2 reasons that are making it mamnu' min as-sarf. Then we look at al-alamiyya ma wazn al-fi'l. So this is something that is proper, a proper name of a place or a person, plus it also looks like a fi'l. So you don't know, is it a fi'l? Is it an ism? What's happening here? Ashraf. Tell me, what does that sound like?
Akbar?
Yeah, it sounds like Akbar. Akbar, okay, Akbar is, although Akbar is a ism tafdil, but it sounds like Aslama also. Ashrafa, Aslama. So somebody doesn't know, is it fi'l, is it ism? But you meet a person called Ashraf. So if this word is specifically used for the name of a person, so that is a specific name, but it also looks like a fi'l, then it's going to be mamnu' min as-sarf. Like Ashraf. That's why Ahmad is also mamnu' min as-sarf, because it also looks like Aslama, Ahmada. Yathrib. What makes Yathrib look like a fi'l? What do you guys think?
Fi'l mudari.
Yes. If somebody says this, they'll be like, okay, Saraba Yathrib. Is it what? No, it's not. It's alamiya. It's a specific name of a place, but it looks like a fi'l. So Yathribu, like Yathribu. It's like Daraba family, right? So that because of that reason, then it's partly flexible. Akram, same thing as Ashraf or Ahmed. Yazid, also if you've met somebody called Yazid, The same thing, it looks like a mudari, but it's a name of a person, so it becomes ممنوع من الصرف. Okay. Then we have the other category is العلمية مع التركيب المزجي. Now this is, I think, what we covered last time. In the exercises we were doing, we met some of these words. حضرموت, New York, معد يكرب, بعل بكو. So these are two words that came together, and they were used together so many times that it became one word. Like I gave the example of New York. New York is two words, new and York. Then they came together. They were used so much together that now we only know New York as New York. Like you cannot separate New and York. It won't make sense. And it's a specific name of a place called New York. Okay. And last time I think I mentioned this is the name of a place. I looked it up. It's not a name of a place. It's a name of a person, actually. One of the Sahaba is called Ma'adi Yakrib. So that's why. So if something is specific and then you have two names that came together and then, yeah. So you don't have to really remember these heavy words as long as you just understand, okay, if two words come together and they become used like that, then it becomes ممنوع من الصرف. And this category is not used a lot. In fact, in the Quran, I don't think it even appears. So I think that's why even in the Bayana program, we don't really cover this much because we focus on what appears in the Quran. Our aim is to learn the Quran. So yeah, that's not really that important. But anyway, it's good to know. And then the last category in al-alamiyya, the last category in specific names or proper names is al-alamiyya mal-adl. Now this also, forget the big Arabic names, just think of it like this. This is where they substituted something for something else. Like Umar is partly flexible. It's going to be Umaru, Umara, Umara. Hubal is going to be Hubal, Hubalu, Hubala, Hubala, like that. So this pattern, Fu'al, any name, any specific name that follows this pattern, Fu'al, will be partly flexible. Why? Because they say it was supposed to be Amir, but then the Arab used Umar, and Umar became more popular than Amir. So they substituted Umar for they substituted Umar instead of Amir, and that's why. So it's not the real thing, so now we make it partly flexible. That's kind of just how they justify this. Okay. I don't know if that's clear, because I know this is a new concept I just mentioned right now.
Ilham, what is the meaning here of adl here? Al-adli? What is?
That's what they call, like, that swapping. Like if you take this and you substitute it with something else, they will call that adl. Like it's some kind of justification of some sort. Like they're trying to justify why it is like the justification I gave you. You know, Amir, it was supposed to be Amir, isim fa'il, but then they started using Umar, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, adil is one person who's just, right? So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of justification for it. Okay. So those are the categories for specific names. So specific names plus something else. Then we come to the second category for two reasons. These are only four. And this part is about wasfiyah. It's only about sifas. So the first part is about specific proper names of people and places. The second part is about adjectives. Sifas. Yeah, we're all familiar with mawsuf sifa, the sifa part, the adjective. So this part is about adjective. So adjective and something else. If you have a word that's an adjective plus something else, then it's going to be mamnu' min as-sarf. For example, the first one, al-wasfiyah ma'a ziyadat alif wa noon. So again, in this part we saw names plus alif wa noon. This part we are saying sifas with alif and noon, right? So again, the question of ghilman comes in question here. We ask ourselves, okay, so it's not a proper name, but is it a sifa? Is it describing anybody? Boys, what do you think? Is it a description?
No.
No. So again, this is why it doesn't qualify, because it's not a proper name and it's not a sifa. But if I say atshan, thirsty, that's a description. Rajulun atshan, a man who is, rajulun atshanun, a man who is thirsty. It's a description. Ghadban, even this word comes in the Quran. When Musa came back, Ghadbana asifa. He came back angry, sorry. Yeah? So these are descriptions of people or places. But there is a condition. This word, the feminine version has to be in this pattern. If it's not in this pattern, then it doesn't qualify. So the feminine pattern has to be عطشاء or غضباء, حمراء. We will see also this in this category. It also has to be like that. Okay. So if the feminine version is like this, then it becomes ممنوع من الصرف. It becomes partly flexible. So some of these things, maybe you just have to look up what is the feminine version of it. If it follows this pattern, فعلا, then it's ممنوع من الصرف. Okay. And then you have صفة, again in the as a فعل, something that looks like a فعل, but it's a صفة, it's a description word. أحمر, red, something red, it's a description, it's a صفة. But it also looks like أسلم, it looks like a فعل, or it looks like a ماضي, I did something. Yeah. So because it looks like a فعل, then it becomes partly flexible, even though it's a صفة. So it's a صفة plus plus it looks like a فعل, so it's ممنوع من الصرف. Same thing as أفضل, it's a description. أعور, blind, is a description. أحسن, better, is a description. All these words are description. Again, here there's an exception. You have words that are so I mentioned the feminine version has to be in this pattern فعلاء, right? Here. So also here in this category, for it to qualify, the female version has to be in this pattern فعلاء. But أرمل, the female version is أرملة. It has a تاء مربوط. So it doesn't qualify because of that. أربع, the female version is أربعة. It has a تاء مربوط. So because the female version has a تاء مربوطة and it's not in the pattern فعلاء, like أحمر is حمراء, أفضل is فضلاء, أعور is عوراء. Yeah, عوراء. أحسن is حسناء, right? بأحسن, I think it's I am forgetting the word حسنة where it is used. But anyway, حسنة is also used in the Quran. So you have that kind of pattern. But these are the exception. It looks like this. أرمل looks like أحمر. But because the feminine version is أرملة, it's not رملة, then we automatically kick it out. أرمل means widow, by the way. So أرملة is a widower. Yeah. So أربع أربعة. That's why these two are fully flexible. Is that clear? We're almost done with this part. Okay. I hope there are no questions. I know this is a lot to take in, but I hope it has clarified some issues for you. Then we have صفة مع العدل. See, عدل came back. This is where we were just trying to justify, or where we are trying to substitute something for something else. This part, honestly, I don't really understand much of it. I have to do a lot of revision for this part, because they're talking about this pattern where you have أحد and موحد. So أحد and موحد. So ثناء مثنى, ثلاث مثلث, رباع مربع. So the word that I use in the Quran is مثنى وثلاثة ورباع. So those parts are used in the Quran, and maybe that's why I feel like we should mention this. But yeah, so just that pattern, فعل, فعال, and مفعل. مثنى, ثلاثة, رباع. So maybe just for our own, to make things easy, we can just remember that these words مثنى, ثلاثة, and رباع ممنوع من الصرف. I think that would be easier for all of us to remember. Then the last one is a description in this pattern, فعل, أخر, and there's only one word that falls under this pattern, أخر. So it's a description and it falls under this pattern. It's ممنوع من الصرف, and it's only one word, this one. So you just have to remember this word, أخر, is ممنوع من الصرف. And that's basically ممنوع من الصرف. I know we've done quite a bit. SubhanAllah. So this is a summary. Maybe I'll post this summary in the group. So you just have ممنوع من الصرف. One reason here, two reasons here, and then of course one reason, there are only these three. Yeah, ألف مقصورة تانيث, ألف ممدودة تانيث. Then these patterns, مفاعيل, مفاعيل, فواعل. Then, and this, for two reasons, you have, it's either going to be proper name or it's going to be a sifa. For proper name, that's when we have more. We have about 6 things, I think. So التأنيث, العجمة, and all this stuff. So ألف والنون, yeah, no stuff. Okay. Any questions?
Is ukhara?
Yes. It could be أخرو, أخرى, أخرى. Because remember,
Okay.
ممنوع من الصرف, أ. So all these words, they're going to be like that. A. All these words. And even if it doesn't show, like in this part, we are going to still say that it is fatha or it is dhamma. We're never going to say kasra. You'll never see kasra in mamnu' min as-sarf. Any other questions? Have you benefited something, or did I just go too much details? What do you guys think? Because I also don't want
No,
to.
definitely. This is very new. We hadn't ever gone through this before. So definitely.
But is it beneficial? Did it make the discussion on mamnu' min as-sarf slightly easier? That was the whole aim.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
If you understood something, then that's good. Because I know I used to struggle with mamnu' min as-sarf myself. I used to not understand why some words have alif and noon and they're not flexible. They're not partly flexible. Some are fully flexible. What's happening? So after doing this deep dive, I think I also understood something. Alhamdulillah. Okay, good. So I want us to do some exercises in the. We really don't have time. We have like a minute. So what do you guys want us to do? What do you guys think?
Can we do some exercises?
Okay, maybe we can
5,
take like
10 minutes?
5-10 minutes, do some exercises, and then we can see what to do next. Okay, so this was an exercise I prepared for last week, but then I decided after doing mamnu' min as-sarf, it would be easier. So the instructions are simple. Just find the 4 properties of the word. Okay, so the first one we have min sama. What do you guys think?
Can I do this one?
Yes, please.
It's the status is jar because of the harf of jar before it.
Yeah.
It is nakira because it has no al on it.
Yeah.
Sama is one of the feminine words. The Arab said so, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
And status, and it looks singular. So its number is 1.
Okay. So you said jar, singular,
1 FC.
feminine, comma. Okay. But then I want to know how do we read this? What would be the haraka on the hamza?
Sama'i.
Yeah, but because it's common, like you said, it's going to be, what do you think? It's common, so it doesn't have al, which means doesn't have
Min
any.
sama'i.
Yes, means sama'in. Doesn't have any reason to be light. So we'll put that to haraka. And again, it's not mamnu' min as-sarf because, like we said, 2 letters before the alif mamduda, it's fully flexible. But if it was 3 letters, it would be mamnu' min as-sarf. Okay, who wants to try number 2?
Can I try?
Yes, please.
Its status is rafa
Mm-hmm.
and it's ism fa'il, so it's singular.
Mm-hmm.
No sign of feminine, so masculine.
Okay. So I'm gonna skip that. Let's go to the last property and then we'll come back to that bit. So what do you think? What is the type? Is it proper or common?
Common.
Okay, it's common. So we agree on that. But we disagree when it comes to the gender. Why? I'll explain. So also part of something that makes feminine, another category that maybe we didn't touch much on in Bayina, is names that are intrinsically feminine. Names that are associated with femininity. For example, a hamil Now, this is where you have to know the meaning. A hamil is a pregnant woman. Basically, hamil is she's carrying something, like a carrier. Yeah, that's the hamala, to carry. So فهو حامل is a carrier, but that they use this word for a pregnant woman. So if you know the meaning that this is a pregnant woman, this word can never be used for a man. You can never see a man that is pregnant, right? So that's why this word will always be feminine. Same thing with menstruation. Menstruation will only be associated with women, so it will be considered feminine. Yeah. Okay. Number 3. Who wants to try? Number 3.
Sorry, number 2. So is that partly flexible or fully flexible? I'm confused about that.
Fully flexible.
Oh,
So
okay.
what made you think that it's partly flexible? Let's try and digest that. Because of the
No,
alif?
I knew it is fully flexible, but I thought now you said it's feminine, so that's why I got confused.
Okay. So not every feminine word is partly flexible. Only when it has the reasons that we've covered. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And also, again, you can see the tanween there. So
Yeah.
it tells you that it's fully flexible. Okay. Number 3. Who wants to try?
Okay, I'll do number 3.
Yes.
If that's the Allah is the harf of jar, so it'll be alal masabihin, and this is a fully flexible, I think, because it's masabihun, masabihan, masabihin.
But why? Why
And
do you think it's fully flexible?
just guess it doesn't show any signs of femininity.
Yeah. But what other reason could there be? Remember that pattern we said?
Oh, masajid. No,
Yeah,
that's not.
mafa'il.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And I actually
so
use this same word, masabih.
yes, okay.
But
So
you are
this
right.
is
It's fully flexible because of al. If there was no al, see? If there was no al, if it was just ala masabi, we would have said ala masabi ha. But now because of al, we will say ala al masabi he. Yeah.
okay.
Good.
So you want the status?
Yes.
It'll be jar, singular, masculine, and proper.
And proper.
Proper.
Yes, good. And proper. Right, good. Let's do ila ahlihim. So some of this have to do with gender, some of them have to do with mamnu min as-sarf.
Ilham, is it singular? Masabih?
Oh, sorry. It's not masab. It's not singular. Sorry.
Yeah, it's plural.
Yes, thank you for catching that up. So it's plural. It's a broken plural. That's why we are looking at those patterns. Mafa'il, mafa'il. Those patterns are for broken plurals. So this is...
But if it's a broken plural, if it's non-human, then it can be 1F.
True. Yeah, we can also say that. We can say 1F proper. So it could be one of those. Yeah.
The non-human broken plural must be treated as one feminine, right? The only human one have the choice.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I think so. Yes. Yeah, see, I told you guys I make mistakes. So that's why I need you to correct me. True. Yeah, that's very true. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that. So that's something we had already forgotten. You see, such simple concept. If you don't revise, then you forget, and then you start making mistakes like this. So yeah, non-human broken plurals are treated as singular feminine. Okay, good. Ila ahlihim. What do you guys think? Ahl is family. Nobody wants to try?
I can try.
Yes.
So him we will discount, and we'll look at ahli. It's jar. So there's no sign of feminine. so it's masculine. There is no sign of what was I saying? This ahli is family, so it's plural by nature.
Yeah.
And then what else is left? And
it's proper or common? Why is it common?
No. Proper. Because it's a mudaf. It's a midafa, and home is proper.
Yeah, good. So the reason I put this name here is because Ahl is one of those names that is just treated as masculine. Okay. Yeah, Ahl is not treated as feminine. So that's just for revision purposes. Okay. I'm gonna skip ila Misr. Maybe this we can do because again, because of time. I want us to do, let's do the things that have to do with, okay. Let's do number 7, then we can do maybe number 10. And then maybe number 15. Let's do number 7. And then you can try this. Maybe these exercises, I can post it in the group. You can try them. And if you encounter any difficulty, you can let me know. We can discuss that. Fi Ramadan, what do you guys think?
Can I do?
Yes, please.
It's jar, singular, and masculine. Ramadan, and it's proper because it's the name, specific name for the month.
Yes, it's a proper name. Yeah. And then what is the haraka on the noon?
Fi Ramadan, because it's partly flexible like human.
Yes. Perfect. Let's do number 10. No, I hadn't explained this concept, but maybe it's good for practice. Yeah, we can do number 10. So let me do the number 10 so that you can see what. So number 10, aswat. This is a broken plural, but because aswat, well, normally when we see alif ta, we think, what do we think when we see alif ta?
Plural feminine.
Yes, plural feminine, the normal plural feminine, muslimatun, muslimatin, muslimatin. But I just told you this is a broken plural, right? So you're probably wondering how. It has atun. So the jam'u mu'annas salim, the sound feminine plural, the one that is atun, atin, atin, also matters if what are the initial harakat. So you see the ta is part of the jidr. Sawtun, the singular version of it is sawt. It has a ta in it. So if you say that this ta is an addition, because muslimatun, the atun is added to the word muslimun. Muslimun is the original, then atun is added. So if you say that this ta is added, then where did you take the ta in the jidr? So you see it's part of the jidr. So when the ta is part of the jidr, aswat, amwat is another word. Amwat, it has that alif ta. But this maut, from the word maut. So we know from this, then this is a broken plural, this is a broken plural. So you take it back to the singular version. If the singular version has that ta, then it's singular. Then it's broken plural, sorry. So I think that's just the concept I wanted to explain there. So here we won't say, we will treat it as 1F because it's a non-human broken plural as opposed to 3F. Then we can do, which other one do I want to do here?
Sorry, I just want to ask, is aswat partly flexible?
No, it's fully flexible. Aswatun, aswatin, aswatan, aswatin.
How would we know when we're looking at it?
So you ask yourself those questions. Okay. So number 1, you ask yourself, is it a specific? Yes, you go through the rules. Is it a specific name of a place or a person? Then you realize no. Then
I don't know what south means.
Oh, sound. South is a voice. Sautuk, your voice.
Sorry?
Voice.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Saut means voice. Aswat, voices or sounds. Saut also could
It's
be
not proper
translated.
names.
No, it's not a proper name, right?
Right.
Is it a description, you ask yourself?
No. It's
No.
a noun. It's an ism. Yeah.
Exactly. So because it just fails on the test of it's not a proper name, it's not a description, and it doesn't have any feminine characteristics, even though it looks like it's feminine, but I just explained to you that it's not, then you know that this is not a mamnu' min as-sarf. It's fully flexible. Good.
Ilham, so
Yes.
not all af'al wazn will be fully flexible. Is there exception? Like abwabun, aqlamun, I mean the af'al wazn.
No. All of them are fully flexible. I don't know if
Is
no,
there
all
any exception? Yeah, I just wanted.
Wallahi, I'm not sure, but the only exceptions I know are those ones that I gave you from the broken plural, mafa'il, mafa'il, and fawa'il. Those are the only ones that I
Okay.
know for sure. Yeah. So
Okay.
you see, not
Thank you.
all broken
Jazakallah.
plurals. Yeah, not all broken plurals are mamnu' min as-sarf. That's what I also learned. Because initially I thought, oh,
Yeah,
broken
yeah.
plurals, mamnu' min as-sarf. But then you realize, no.
And no, I mean especially only this pattern af'al, like abwab, aqlam, aswat. That
Aqlamun. We say aqlamun, we say abwabun, aswatun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
fully
Thank you.
flexible.
Jazakallah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's what we're going. I think we can end here because it's almost Maghrib time for me. Actually, it is Maghrib time, so we can end here. Then maybe during the week I can post one of these words and then we can just try on our own. During the week we can cover this exercise. I have a lot more exercises, so we can maybe even do 2 or 3 words in a day, inshallah, so that we cover a lot more. I want us to finish Mamnu' min as-sarf so that tomorrow we do fragments, inshallah. Tomorrow I want us to do fragments so that we move. Next week we start sentences, Jumla Ismiya and Jumla Fi'liya, inshallah. Any other comments or questions or last final remarks before we end?
I have a question.
Yes.
The ahli is a broken plural, right?
Yes. No, Ahl. No, Ahl is just, I think that's how it is. What would be the singular then? Because if you say something is a plural, you have to ask yourself what is a singular.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a word. The singular. Maybe I can research that further. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure about that. But I think it's just plural the way it is. It doesn't have a singular version. I will research and then I will get back to you, inshallah.
I think it's like qarnun, right? Something similar.
Nas qarn.
Maybe.
Qarnun generation. Maybe. Not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Any other clarifications?
No, I'm good.
Alhamdulillah.
You explained very well, alhamdulillah.
I'm glad, because I was worried this topic was it's not an easy topic to understand and explain, but alhamdulillah, if you understood, that's good. I was a bit
MashaAllah, you
worried.
did a really great job. Jazakallah khairan.
وإياكم جزاء.
Remember me in your prayers.
Inshallah, will do. Okay, so we can end there. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات وذكر الحكيم. Remember, guys, do your best and Allah will do the rest. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay.